Hey guys, Mrs. Norris here. So I wanted to walk you through your final paragraph for our DBQ. How did the Constitution guard against tyranny? A lot of you aren't going to be working on this possibly until we are off for Christmas break. Hence my super awesome Christmas sweater. So I just wanted to make sure that you had access to how to actually complete this assignment. So I think this tutorial will help. Okay, so as you see on my screen here, we have the pre-writing that we've done on the left-hand side. You have me down below, hi, and then you have the instructions on the right. So I'm going to look first at the instructions. And as I've been saying over and over again, rather than give you the traditional type of test, I'm going to be using this as a final for your unit 2. So it is something that's going to be graded as a test or quiz. It's pretty important. If you don't submit this work, then you will receive a 0 on this assignment rather than the normal just missing grade. Okay. So you are going to need a piece of paper or maybe 2 and something to write with. And I'm going to look at these directions here. It says using the steps from the previous activity. So if I were to click on this link here, it's going to take me to that activity that we just finished where I modeled for you how to complete an outline, how to write a rough draft paragraph, and then how to type that paragraph as well. So when you click on the previous activity, is going to take you back to what we just did, just to remind you in case it's been a couple of days since you've actually looked at it and you're now only just now sitting down to write your final paragraph. Okay. So you're going to be writing an outline and a rough draft. Please take a selfie of your outline and a selfie of your rough draft since they are on a sheet of paper. So what you're going to rename those images really depends on which activity it is that you, or which aspect of the Constitution you decide to write about. So now let's look at what we did together, or I did for you in our tree map. So I've already done federalism for you. So no one's going to write about federalism. Okay, because that's already been done. You are either going to write about separation of powers, checks and balances, or big states versus small states. It's your choice. Which one do you feel most comfortable writing about? Which one do you feel like you have the best understanding of? And that's the one that you are going to write. Okay. So again, no one's doing federalism. We've already done federalism together. I've already modeled it for you. That one's in the past. And now we are moving on. So how you are going to rename your files really depends on which aspect of the Constitution you choose to write about. So if you're writing about separation of powers, you can see here, this is what you are going to be renaming your files. If you choose to write about checks and balances, you'll be renaming your files like this. And if you choose to write about big states versus small states, you'll be renaming your files like this. So use this chart that's below this tutorial here to know what you are going to be renaming each of your files. Okay. So take a picture of your outline and your rough draft. Make sure you rename that picture the way you see below, and then you will type your final paragraph. Okay, so you're going to open up a Google Doc. You're going to rename it based on whichever aspect you are choosing. And then once you are done typing it, make sure you spell check it. Do not worry about changing the font. Just make sure that you've renamed the file and you've given it its title and then you've typed it correctly. Okay. And then you're going to download it as a PDF. All right. Which again is something I showed you previously. And then you're going to upload all 3 of these things to submit for this assignment. And there's a quick little tutorial here if you need help or a reminder on how to do that. Okay. So let's look back at, and I'm going to make this a little bigger here. Let's look back at what we did together. Okay, so you don't have to recreate this because we've already got it. You should just have this in front of you because it's going to let you know what type of document you are looking at, an excerpt, a graphic, or a quote. Okay, so I would just keep this in front of you, and also your main claim that answers the question, how did the Constitution guard against tyranny? Okay, so then whichever one you choose to do, whether it's separation of powers, checks and balances, or big versus small states, whichever one you choose to do, Then you are going to do an outline. Now, this is how I chose to do an outline. Okay. If you choose to do your outline differently because you learned a different way in your ELA class, then by all means do that. I just want to be able to see your claim. I want to see an explanation of what that aspect of the Constitution is, your evidence, and your reasoning. However you decide to organize that before you write your paragraph, that is up to you. If you've learned a different way, if your ELA teacher has taught you something different, then please do. If my way works easier for you, then do that. I just want to see some kind of pre-writing. I want to see your steps. How did you get from our map here and whichever you chose to write about to your final paragraph? I want to see that path. Okay. So again, whichever you're choosing to do, you're going to do some kind of a pre-writing, and then you are going to do a rough draft of your paragraph. Okay. And then you are going to type it into your Google Doc. Okay. So again, we have an outline, we have a final paragraph. So an outline, a rough draft paragraph, and then a document that is your final paragraph. All right. So again, for the outline, what I'm looking to see is a restatement of our big question. Okay. I want to see your claim. So you're answering that big idea question using either separation of powers, checks and balances, or big states versus small states. I want to see that you can explain to me what that is. What is separation of powers? What does that mean? What does checks and balances mean? What does big states versus small states mean? I want to know that you understand whatever you chose as your aspect. What does that mean? I want to know that. Okay. Now, evidence, at least 3 pieces of good evidence, text examples that support whatever your claim is. Okay. So whatever your claim is, I want some text examples. Okay. And this is why I also had you write what I wrote, because that's going to kind of help you understand the thinking behind what evidence is. Okay. And then put it all together to connect your evidence with your claim. All right. So this is, again, the final piece to this. Okay. Once this is done, then unit 2 is done and we're ready to move on to unit 3. You're just writing one well-written paragraph and that's it, nothing else. And this is going to help me to understand if you understand how the Constitution was able to guard against tyranny. Maybe you don't fully get big states versus small states, and that's fine. That's why I want you to choose the one that you are most comfortable with, that you feel like you are the most knowledgeable of, that you can explain to somebody else to best answer that question of how the Constitution guarded against tyranny. Okay? Good luck.